Hi, it's Jen here. Today I'm going to talk about how I passed my first actual exams, which is the Exam FM. So I passed it in April, like 2 months ago, and I actually wanted to do this video for a long time, but I didn't have time because I had classes and now I'm doing my internship. But yeah, 2 months has passed and I think now is the right time to do this before I forget the things that I've learned from this exam. So, and I'm doing this unscripted, so the things that I'm going to share might be a bit like all over the place, but I hope this video will help you if you are preparing for this exam, because I know I had a really hard time studying for this exam. So a little bit of background of me is that I'm in my final year of actuarial science right now, and most of the people they took exam FM like during their first year, second year, or third year, but because I actually wanted to take this exam during my third year, but because of the COVID situation, I procrastinated it for a very long time, and finally I just decided to take it during April. So yeah, if you are someone like me who's like a bit late on taking exams, don't worry about it. Just take your time, and because in the end we just want to pass the exams, right? And the exams are very expensive, so like I can understand why like that used to be a barrier for me, like because I know the exams are so expensive. I wanted to make sure that I can pass it before I commit to registering for the exam. So yeah, let's move on. I know it feels a bit weird talking to the camera because it's my first time doing this, but so I think I took I took 1 2 3 1 2 like about I took about I can't even tell the time because that's like I took a break, and then like I wanted to take the exam last March. Was it last March? Last March or February in 2020. But then because of COVID, I moved back to my home country, and then so like I think I prepared for a few weeks, mostly just doing the AC text manual sample questions, and then I took a break for about a year, and then during December last year I registered for coaching actuaries for a month until January. And then after that I just like, because I was taking online classes, so I didn't really spend a lot of time studying because I was busy with my classes. And then the week but I was doing questions, like maybe 5 questions a day consistently. And then during the week before the exam in April, I did sample questions, like sample exams, for a few days. Yeah, so that's the amount of time it took for me to study for the exam. It's a bit weird, I know, but it's because it's because I was very overwhelmed with the amount of study material that I had. And it's like when you're studying for these exams, especially if you are not using coaching actuaries, so like at first I wanted to study without paying for it, but then you don't really know if you are doing well or not. So like that's the problem when you are studying with free materials, because you don't know. So I think coaching actuaries really help me in passing the exams, and what really pushed me to register for the coaching actuaries is that my friend recommended me, and it just felt right because I I kept giving me I kept giving myself the excuse that I should not be taking the exam because I'm not confident. So like after I register for the coaching actuaries, because I'm paying for it, so like I know that I will do my best to pass the exams if I already pay for the services that should contribute to passing the exam. Yeah. And then so that was a long answer. Is there anything else? So actually I'm not sure if I should be sharing like tips and tricks for passing the exam, but I'm going to share like what I did. So like, and I passed, so maybe you can refer to that if that's what works for you. So first thing that that really helped, I think, was to print out the coaching actuaries. Okay, why am I like promoting? By the way, I'm not sponsored by coaching actuaries. I just think that it's really helpful. That's why I'm talking about it so much. Oh yeah, it's here. So one thing that really helped was the syllabus. So like I printed the syllabus. So print your syllabus for your exam and really look over the learning objectives, especially if you are really coming close to your exam. You need to focus on the parts where you are weak at. So for me, the parts that I was really weak at was duration and convexity, I think. Duration, convexity, and immunization. So like these parts. Oh, okay. I don't think you can see really well. But the thing I did was, after like look over the parts where I'm not familiar with, and then I'll tick off once I know I'm confident with it. So I did this for the weak parts that I had. And then another thing is, actually the key to passing, right, is just do practice questions. And you shouldn't just blindly do practice questions. You should focus on once you do a lot of questions, you will recognize a pattern, and you see that some questions are more likely to come out, and you have to make sure that you do well in those questions. And there's also maybe a few questions that are like less percentage, and they are a bit less likely to come out. So those are the questions that if you have time, then you can focus on, but if you don't have time, then you don't really need to focus on those, because in the end you just want to score like 20, 26, 27, I can't remember, but you just need to have an amount of questions You just have to have a fixed amount of questions to pass. So make sure you have those right. And yeah. And then another one was, so for my exam, I think there were a few questions that were definition based. So few days before the exam, I did like a Google search on those some words like that was it. It's not here for some reason, but things like amortizing notional amount, accreting swap, amorting swap. So there will be a few questions that's like which statements are false, which statements are true. So those questions, if you take some time to understand the definitions and the facts and just make some notes about it, I think there will be around 1 or 2 questions. So those are quite easy to score if you put some time into it. And then and one really important thing that I did was focusing on the mistakes I made. So like I have this file which has like the notes, and usually it's the things that I made mistakes on. So like you see, read questions carefully and do the easy ones first. And then I divided it into 7 main topics. So the first one is interest measurement. So you can see like read carefully. And then for annuities was really tough. But then, so when you do pass sample questions, if you made some mistakes and you learn something new, you should write it down somewhere. So what I did was I wrote it down in this file, so it's easier for me to refer to when I need it. So loans, then bonds and stocks. Okay. Some people they prefer using flashcards, but I think flashcards are too small. So like it's up to you whether you want to do it in any way you want it. Then there's this, why interest rate differ by terms. Duration and convexity. Yeah, so these are the notes that I made during the last week of exam. So it's not as tidy because I just wanted to write everything down. Immunization. So yeah, that's the notes that I made. And I was talking about how you should focus on your weak areas. So let me show you what I did. So usually I do my questions on OneNote because it's a touchscreen laptop. So I have my Exam FM, and you can see there's time and dollar weighted return. So these topics are the ones that I was very weak at, so I had like separate notes for them. So for you can see for time and dollar weighted return, I compiled the questions from the sample SOA exam from the website. I think you can find it on Google. So like I compiled it and then I did everything in these notes. So this is really useful. Like instead of doing the sample questions from 1 to 200 something, you should focus on the topics that you are weak at and just do those first if you have the time. And once you master the topic, then you know that whatever questions from this topic you do well. So this will improve your confidence on taking the exam. Yeah, so like this is dollar weighted. Dollar weighted. Not sure if. Oh yeah, so the first few are time weighted ones and the last few are dollar weighted ones. Okay, let me show you duration. So I calculate duration, and then there's approximation. Yeah, so you can do something like this if you have the time. And then interest rate swap. Yeah, interest rate swap is just like that. And because you know there's definitely going to be questions like from interest rate swap or from immunization, so you should do those well. Like if you know the percentage is going to be high, then you should really master the questions, and then I'm sure you'll pass it if you are confident, if you can do these questions on the sample exam. Hi, I'm back for a second take. So last but not least, I think the hardest part for me was preparing for the exam mentally, because towards the last week of the exam I was very stressful, and I was very stressful because I was worried that I couldn't pass the exam, and at that time passing the exam was like the most important thing that I wanted to do. So like at that time I felt like if I didn't pass the exam I would feel very ashamed of myself. And I know, because like I have spent so much time procrastinating, and I felt like I need to pass the exam. And then because I was so stressful during that week, even my parents told me that I shouldn't be that stressed, because like I don't know, I think it was one of the most stressful feelings I had like in my lifetime. I never really stressed for other exams, but this one was particularly tough because there were so many study materials and I didn't know if I will do well in the exam or not. So the thing that reduced my stress levels during that week was after I went through I wouldn't say emotional breakdown, but I went through a process, and then I realized that maybe because at that time I felt like I was going to fail, so like at that point I just thought to myself that if this does not work, then we can try again next time. And I also tell myself to really focus on enjoying the learning process, enjoying doing the questions, and instead of doing the questions to get it right, I try to focus on really understanding the questions that I do, and finding insights from the questions I do. So really taking the time to enjoy the process instead of focusing on getting things right. I think that was the part that really made it less stressful for me during the final week of the exam. So another thing about mental health, right, is that I think not a lot of people talk about this, and I felt like before that I felt like a lot of actual science students are really smart, and so like I'm using like so much. So for when I was doing coaching actuaries for the first few weeks, so I was getting like less than 50% in the exam, and I was doing level 2 level 3 exams, so I thought it was really hard, and I was also referring to the notes. It wasn't like a proper exam. So I felt like because I would say that I'm quite a smart student, like normally in other areas. So seeing myself doing like 50% was quite a shock at the first few times, during the first few times. So like if you are not doing well during the if you are taking a long time to learn the materials or to get things right, I think it's normal. At least for me it was normal, because after some time, like after a few weeks, I can see there was a progress, there was improvement over time. So but it's a very slow progress. So you really need to prepare yourself for those kind of failures. And to me, it was seeing those progress that made me less worried about the outcome. So and maybe hearing this from me will make you feel less alone about scoring like very less marks when you are doing your practice exams. So those stuff are quite normal. What else? And then another thing that helped was when you are facing difficulties doing your practice exams or your questions, what I did was I posted on the Actuarial Facebook group for exam P. So find a support group or maybe a bunch of actual friends that you have that you can ask about the questions you face difficulties with. So don't just do it alone, because sometimes when you face difficulties, when you face hard questions like this, having a friend who knows the stuff will make things a lot easier. And then there's also another tip I have for those who like to procrastinate. So during the last month towards the exam, I had like a countdown calendar that I put it beside my bed. So every day I will write the amount of days left towards the exam. So I feel the urgency to study for the exam. So that's quite useful if you are always lazy to study. remember to put up something that reminds you that exam is going to come soon, so you are going to study for that. So yeah, that's all from me. I hope you find this video helpful, and actual exams are hard, but with some time and effort, I think we will do it. With some time and effort, I think all of us will be prepared for it. Anyways, if you have any questions, feel free to comment it down below, and please subscribe if you please subscribe and subscribe I can't say subscribe and subscribe if you like this video. Hope to see you soon, and if there's any improvements that I can make, please feel free to let me know too. So yeah, see you, have a good day, bye.